Hey Virgo. I was meditating on your energy as I'm shuffling these cards, trying to see if any images pop into my mind as I'm doing so. And I got some pretty strange ones for you. So, initially, I was seeing a strawberry, and it was one of those really big, almost three-segmented strawberries that just look kind of strange because they're just so fat. And as I was focusing on this strawberry, it sort of morphed into a cow's head. And it wasn't like, it was almost like a cartoonish cow. I almost said clown. Maybe that means something, but yeah, this cow was like smiling and happy, and then it turned into one head on a three-headed dog, which, obviously I connected with Cerberus, guardian of the underworld, and I started thinking about death. And I was almost like trying to understand it as I was looking at it, and I was like finding nourishment and pleasure, and then it turned into the Cerberus, the three-headed dog thing, and I was like, well, now I'm not so sure. Like, maybe it's excessive indulgence and pleasure, thinking that it's nourishing you when in fact it's leading you down the wrong path towards self-destruction. That's kind of heavy, but I don't know, maybe just interpret those symbols as you will. And there was also some numbers. I was like seeing 25, or maybe it was 28. I couldn't quite discern if the 5 was an 8 or if the 8 was a 5. So I don't know what that means, but just throwing that out there, maybe something to kind of hook you in, connect you, and okay, you guys are done, huh? Okay. All right. So first card is going to be your significator. I'm going to set that right over here by our good friend Henry, and he's going to keep an eye on you throughout the reading, okay? So we have the Wheel of Fortune for you. Pardon the glare, the sun is out. And that is Jupiter's card. This is the card of fate, the card of celestial movements, not necessarily dictating your outer expression, but leaning into the patterns, I think I should probably say. There's momentum that's kind of, I'm hearing like spiraling around you, that you can kind of lean into to kind of help support your endeavors, whether they're inner or outer. And I think by doing that, you kind of open yourself up to the possibility of the wave. I'm seeing like the wave crystallizing into something helpful potentially. Kind of an abstract way of saying lean into the energy and you might be receiving blessings. Could also be a reminder that this is a time to remove attachment to outcomes. By sort of, I'm hearing like positioning yourself. By positioning yourself in your activity, in your work, in a way where you're performing it, but you're separating yourself from it and just trusting that the process is going to unfold as it should. It's a little cerebral. We'll kind of help to maybe ground that a little bit as the reading progresses. So we're going to go with the next card, which is the Queen of Pentacles. And I can see that as being a representation of you, Virgo. But it kind of just seems like the environment around you is supportive for your innate energy of connecting with the physical world and maybe organizing things, but in a way like giving structure and form to energy that can potentially be supportive. This could also represent a figure, if it's not you, who's in your life providing a sense of pragmatism, somebody who's very practical, very grounded, trying to support a slow, steady, and deliberate work pace. I'm also seeing that cow again. Kind of that energy of like providing nourishment. Maybe alchemizing different materials, bringing them together, different people in an environment, and sort of distilling the essence of the ideas they're bringing together. Or I don't know, this is like really strange. I'm working with really abstract energy today, so I'm hoping that we can kind of whittle this down into something with more discernible shape as we go on. But all right, so we have our first obstacle, which is the Nine of Pentacles. This is like a challenging energy for you. And I think this connects to the imagery that I was getting, or at least the sense that I was getting with the strawberry, the cow, and then the three-headed dog, where it was like there are opportunities for you to indulge and enjoy the physical world. You know, there's good food, or there's drinks, there's pretty colors, there's new fabrics, there's new books, there's new TV shows. And there's maybe an aspect of you that wants to bury yourself in that. Pardon the plane. Okay, maybe not bury yourself in it, but I'm hearing there needs to be a leash. Like there's some aspect of you that kind of wants to veer off course. Like it's weird. I'm seeing you like on a conveyor belt, and there's like these different rooms that are set up. I'm kind of seeing like IKEA rooms, like they're set up with the nice furniture, and you're like stopping in each one. And you're like, oh my gosh, I could live here, and just like sitting down watching TV or looking at the books on the shelves. Pardon this plane. Or like otherwise just like sitting down on the couch and like feeling the fabric and just enjoying it. So I'm seeing all this as like a sort of representation of sensuous indulgence. And it doesn't have to be sensuous in terms of like sexual. That could be a way that the energy is manifesting. I think this is just kind of like a little warning sign from the cosmos telling you that there needs to be a little bit of reining in, a little control of that. Let's see what's in the past. We have the Four of Swords in the past position. That could be you embodying a sense of detachment, or being in a more meditative, spiritual state where the outer happenings aren't really concerning you so much. And given that that was in the past, maybe the counteraction to that is you kind of coming back into the world and being like, wow, look at all these beautiful crystals, or look at how comfortable this mattress is. Like, oh, look at that beautiful man, you know, that sort of thing. Like, it almost feels like there was an unfolding from a cocoon state that occurred. And I think if you're not careful, which is what the universe is trying to bring your attention to, if you're not careful, you can lean into the excess, the extreme opposite end of the more not withdrawn, I don't even want to say more connected state, more reflective state maybe that you were in the past. The future, we have the Ace of Wands. This is like a new beginning. This is that powerful drive and excitement that fuels the start of an endeavor. I mean, the Ace of Wands is associated with the cardinal point of Aries. That's the the mathematical point when the sun begins to move north over the equatorial plane. That's vernal equinox. There's this new, exciting, initiating, upwelling spring of energy. And maybe this warning to kind of rein in your indulgences is to kind of conserve the energy that you're going to be putting into whatever this Ace of Wands represents. Like there's going to be a light bulb moment or something where you realize there's a project that you want to work on, or something that you want to work towards, something you want to gather your resources together and put into service of this thing. And you wouldn't be able to do that if you'd been I'm seeing somebody sitting on laying on the couch with a beer bottle in their mouth, and they're like half asleep and there's like drool coming out of their mouth. Like, keep things under control, because this is not necessarily a time of relinquishing control, for you at least. I mean, there's different messages for everybody, but I feel like right now your energy, Virgo, your careful attention to detail and your ability to organize and structure things effectively, I think is going to be needed moving forward. And that's why the universe is kind of telling you to keep things in a vessel. Enclose your vital energies. Don't spend them. Don't spend your money. Don't spend your resources haphazardly, because you're going to need it. Like some aspect of conservatism is in order, so that it can kind of, burst forth with this Ace of Wands. All right. So crowning your reading, we have the Seven of Wands. And the crowning card kind of represents what your end goal is, or what your ideal is, what it is that you want your energies to be moving towards. And with the Seven of Wands being the last decan of Leo, I believe, there's this aspect of trying to assert, maybe assert isn't the right word, but establish your own, not necessarily opinions either. It's more like your own footing, your own visions, your own directives, maybe. Trying to establish that within the field of diverse thought that's around you. Trying to stand out in some way in your environment. As someone who is like the banner keeper for whatever mode of thinking that you're dying on the hill for. It's maybe a little bit of an extreme turn of words, but there is this idea of like, it might be contrary to the norm, it might be contrary to the mainstream. And so it is definitely like a process to make it up to the top of this hill and then have to defend yourself. But it's like that's what you're hoping for. That's something that you're working towards. Like, you want to be able to be that person, because, there's always the potential that if you say the right thing, or if you provide the right service, or if you reveal the right information, the rest of the congregation, interesting word, will fall into agreement with you, or at least understand your perspective. Odd little detail that I'm only now noticing is that he's wearing two different types of shoes. You have a boot on this foot, and then like a little moccasin, like a little slipper on this other one. And this is like your energy being so devoted to a particular cause, or to a particular endeavor that you're not even paying attention to, I guess, yourself in a way. Like you're losing yourself in this larger thing. Like forgetting to put your socks on your feet, or putting the wrong shoes on the wrong feet, or mismatching your shoes, that sort of thing. Like you're so focused, your energy's so directed towards this work that all the more trivial details are kind of falling to the wayside. Like they're not your prerogative. Prerogative's not the right word. They're not your high priority. So it could be something that you're working on that's actually really important, and that you see how important it is. And so you're letting every other detail sort of fall to the wayside in order to make sure that this work is finished, that this information comes out. At the base of the reading, we have the Knight of Wands, and this is sort of like your motivating factor, or this is like the subconscious, the deeper motivation. I feel like there's maybe an aspect of yourself that's been yearning for change. Interesting. I'm like staring at the card and seeing somebody who's going around lighting fires, like pouring gasoline on buildings and lighting the fires. And hopefully you're not doing that, literally. But I think in some way there's a part of you that has been wanting to break down old buildings. Like the buildings that I'm seeing, they're like dilapidated, they're falling apart. It's like, why are they even there? They're wasting space. Nobody's gonna repair them. Like nobody wants to. So like part of what's motivating your momentum is like this need to clear the space, to clear out the old understanding of things in order to establish, I'm hearing the correct way of understanding things, but I think that's kind of a dangerous line of thinking, so don't get so caught up in the black and whiteness, like the wrong and the right, or the right and the wrong, whatever, however you want to break it down. Like nothing is really that simple. So I think another careful thing with the Knight of Wands is like, allow for nuance, pay attention to the complexities. Maybe that's another message with wrong shoes on the wrong feet, the mismatched shoes is like maintaining awareness of the complexities and not getting so lost in the narrow-minded focus of getting the work done. Like not being reckless and just charging forward just for its own sake. Like being careful and plan out your movements, which you should be good at anyway, Virgo. Like we have the King of Swords as the next card. And this is demonstrating a need to be clear in thought, clear in your efforts to communicate those thoughts, making sure that you have all the information straight, weighing out those meticulous details, weighing out the nuance, allowing for complexities, allowing for differing opinions. But making sure that what you're standing up for is actually correct. Like if part of the message that's come forth is sort of along the lines of you've been holding the banner for a cause that you don't understand is actually working against you in some way. This King of Swords is like the foot down moment, like, no, we're going to sit down, we're going to get our facts straight, and we're going to come to a clear and correct understanding of the situation so we can make an effective decision. And it could be that this is a person that comes into your life who kind of maybe pokes at your bubble, or if you're in the right, like helps you to establish the rhetoric, the matrix of language and sorted information in order to better stand up for what you're dying on the hill for, to go back to that metaphor. But whoever this King of Swords is, or whatever he represents, it's like clear, precise thought. No emotional attachment to the information, but rather objective discernment of whether or not it is in support of or against whatever conclusion is being made or is going to be made. For the next card, we have the Star, Aquarius. And this is in the position of the environment around you, the outer environment. So usually like people around you, could be an Aquarius. But I think somebody who's helping to establish the goal, somebody who's helping to establish the ideal that's being worked towards. This could be, again, that word congregation is coming back up. I mean, it is Aquarius. Aquarius does represent like the congregations of the people. Please excuse the planes. Maybe that's it. Interesting. Okay, as I'm trying to contemplate on this card and hearing that plane, I'm like, the image that's popping in my head is just like this overwhelming sense of the planes and how they like come to a narrow point, but they start at this very broad space. So kind of like this pyramidal structure where the people are at the base, and then the hopefully elected, I heard position, but the person at the point is helping to guide the base in the correct manner. Interesting. Sorry, I'm getting like a flood of images. I don't know what to pick out first. So the first one is like walking into a cathedral, and in the cathedral there's like these banners that have been raised or lowered over what would have been the stained glass windows. So you can't see the stained glass windows. All you see is the banners placed in front of them. And I don't know what's on the banners. I don't think that's important. I think it's just a matter of there's a certain philosophy or a certain mindset, a certain belief structure, a matrix of ideas that's being overlaid on top of what's already established. But it like involves groups of people in some way, like social groups, as if there's any other kind of group. Like, come on, antisocial group. I don't know if that would work out. Interesting. I'm hearing like don't get sucked into a cult. Hopefully that's not relevant to any of you guys or necessary to say. But it's like, be careful that you're not poisoning the water. Again, going back to this King of Swords, make sure that the facts are straight, and make sure that when you stand on the top of this hill and defend yourself, that you know what you're defending. And also how to defend it, of course. You know, don't sacrifice yourself to uphold a structure that isn't supporting you. Really interesting. I'm getting kind of pulled into the background, and I'm hearing like birds and little fairies whispering, and I'm like, maybe this is like a pull to look towards nature, you know, to pay attention to the movement of the wheel in the sky, or to go out and sit and listen to the birds singing, dip your feet in a creek or a river if you have access to that. Go to the places where the elements mix and mingle with each other, and allow that to be like a space where you're able to find more clarity. Or, you know, to find groups. And I'm hearing not necessarily because they align with your vision of things, but maybe because in the exercise of debating, it'll sharpen your sword. So for your hopes and fears, we have the Ace of Cups. And that's the cardinal point of Cancer. That's the highest point that the sun travels, you know, the northern solstice. And it's almost like this energy of the king at the top, and he's able to effectively dispense his resources, whether intellectual or corporeal, upon his people and supporting them effectively. This is like the hope can be that you find a fount of wisdom, a fount of fulfillment, of truth, and that you'll feel it, and that you'll feel connected to this truth, and you'll feel fulfilled by this truth. Maybe part of the imagery that I was seeing with the cathedral and the banners and everything, like maybe you're even experimenting with different religious expressions to try to find a way for to try to find a house for your truth, but specifically a house that fits the shape of your truth. And maybe you're seeing it through your own filter, and that's the banners. Like, that's your truth is being like overlaid on top of the cathedral, and it's like maybe you don't fully fit within this space, but it's providing cohesion, it's providing structure, and it's providing a different, already clearly defined and established truth, or an already clear and defined rhetoric for the truth. And it might be different from the rhetoric that you would use to describe the truth, but it has generations of whittling behind it, like people hashing out and refining and coming to deeper and deeper understandings of it. You know, that's kind of the draw with a lot of religious paths, is that they're already established. There's mystical experience to kind of reinforce them, people who come to their own personal experiences of the truth within the bounds established by the framework of the religion. And though I think a lot of us are kind of coming to a space where we can understand that the truth is so much bigger than any one tradition can contain. The traditions offer a path through the mires. Like I'm seeing this, the Seven of Wands is like the different obstacles that sort of present themselves in the spiritual path, and the path to moving towards understanding. They have the tools, they have the methods and the practices that allow you to move beyond these obstacles or to fight them. Kind of interesting how this reading is shaping up, huh? I'm trying to like connect it back to this Wheel of Fortune card here, being Jupiter, being the card of fate, being the card of, you know, things outside of our control. And maybe you're kind of trying to come to an understanding of what that means for you. And in so doing, maybe finding yourselves in these congregations of people that exist within the bounds of an established tradition, spiritual, religious tradition, or even just ideological. Like even if there's no religion involved for you, just trying to find a space that fits your idea of what the truth is, but being open to your idea of what the truth is changing or taking different shapes as you progress and as you go forward. Or maybe even like completely changing. Like I'm seeing like a complete 180 too. Like there can be a complete shift, and being open and okay with that. And for the final outcome, we have the Ten of Cups. That's that last decan of Pisces. The last face of Pisces is ultimate fulfillment. Spiritual, emotional realization. I'm seeing like ribbons and streamers and confetti in the cathedral, like some expression of culmination and completion in the journey that you've undertaken is made manifest and allows you to celebrate your life, celebrate being alive, and acknowledging what a blessing it is to be anything at all, like with the ups and downs together in tandem. You know, and seeing the colors and appreciating them, but not getting mixed up in them, not muddying them, not feeling so attached to outward expressions and appearances like you would be in this Nine of Pentacles, but rather being appreciative of the inner truth of those things. All right. With that, I think that is your reading for today, Virgo. I've been letting everyone know I am maintaining a monthly upload schedule for the zodiacal readings for the 12 signs. And this round of readings is actually part of an experiment to do bi-weekly readings. But I had some personal things come up that kind of got in the way of that and kind of thwarted the schedule for that. So that's why these readings are coming out a little bit late, or very late. Hopefully in the future, if I attempt bi-weekly readings, they'll be able to come out at a more appropriate time, but we'll see. At the very least, committing to those monthly readings. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to share your thoughts and share your experiences in the comments. I do like reading your stories and kind of seeing the little connections that you guys make with things, or even coming up with like new interpretations of what came through in the reading that I didn't express, because I mean, it kind of comes down to you and your own interpretation of things. So, anyway, wishing you the best, Virgo. I hope that that 10 of Cups moment is inevitable for you, and yeah, wish you the best.